girls first. The first girl I called this evening was Shelia Fitzpatrick.
This poem is not mine, it's Bridget Wallace's poem, Lover's Tiff. And when she stood to leave, the frayed edge of her temperament snagged on a splinter and rocked the table, the lucky table she always seemed to pick. The almost empty glass tottered, settled for a moment, tottered, and finally tipped its contents on the marble-topped table. The last drop of gin and tonic rolled through the slightest of cracks in the rim, then forward in a slow and solemn process, like the slice of a sacrificial knife, and like diamonds in the fading light, the droplets lived for several moments more before falling to the floor, and then even the slice of lemon winced. This is my own poem I wrote. I was at the Bob Dylan concert last year. The poet in the white Panama hat sang numerous songs, one after the other, each one mesmerizing. When he sang Lay Lady, the fans went wild. Spontaneous applause echoed through the stadium. In the freedom of the open air, I waved my arms and sang along. Like a child of the 60s, clad in a crisp white caftan, Indian beads and matching aqua earrings, faded Levi's and cowboy boots. I was serious in my intentions, so I drank Carlsberg, smoked roll-ups, and got high on the rhythm of the music. Captivated by the presence of the port, I danced in the dazzle of the sun. Thanks for
The start of the evening as he opens up and brings plenty of humour into the situation. And now we have another humorist to introduce you to. Give a very warm welcome please to John Carew. Thank you very much.
John.
To twist you down and write a poem very quickly. Other times takes me a long time. So I had a few there and nothing will come together for me. So I'll revert back to one that I might have done a long time ago. And I want to practice it for Friday night for the summer solstice. So it's called Tonight is for My Odyssey, and it's basically an imaginary journey that I took around my own area, out around Lochore and all that. On a bright moonlit night, cold and frosty, snugged in my warm boots, warm coat and woolly hat, I take a walk, grass crisp and white underfoot. First I come to the stone wall, styled the cross. I think of the men that built this wall, hands carefully placing stone upon stone, their names forgotten, this their only legacy. Then the oak tree, denuded of its leaves in its deep winter sleep, waiting for the spring and the life sap to flow through its veins, bringing new growth to its branches. Next to the old graveyard, not one of orderly rows, no, here souls are buried wherever possible. Headstones whitened and mossed from time and weather. I run my fingers over the engraving on one. Josephine O'Brien, Lee Murphy, 1901 to 1946. Her son Patrick, 1926 to 1928. Did she live those 18 years, waiting for the day she would be reunited with him? I leave here with a prayer. May all the souls here be happy with you in heaven. I walk onto the church, its stained glass windows and bell tower, illuminated by the moonlight. I cannot enter, it does not matter, as I know it well. Its statues, Jesus, St. Patrick, the Blessed Virgin, the Stations of the Cross, and its confessionals. Within these holy walls are held the tears and smiles of family, friends, and neighbours. I pray at my Father's grave for my children, keep them safe and happy all their lives. Then I jump the wall into the schoolyard. The playful sounds of children are somehow in the air. I think of my years here as a boy, happy and informative. a simpler time. My wanderings brings me to my mother's house, light in the window. Shall I visit her? No, not tonight. Tonight is for my odyssey. So I leave her to her rosary and her knitting, this grey-haired old woman that I love so dearly. Onwards to the fields of my youth, where we played as children, brothers, sisters, cousins. Games as intense as any All-Ireland final. Heroes' names called out in the summer's evening. It brings an ache to my heart to think that this is but a memory now. I journey on until I reach the Mass Rock. In penal days I look out for redcoats as Mass and prayers were said. Across the road to New Church on Temple Nua, a place that holds the remains of many the soul, including the poet Thomas O'Keneally. Dear Mally St. George is a maid without peer, so handsome, so modest, so graceful, so dear. From here I look across the waters of Lochgore, dark and broody. What secrets do they hold? Garodiel on his white steed, the Banantee brushing her long golden hair. Brushing her long hair with that golden comb. If I was at Buccala, would I too covet that comb for myself? I could stay here forever, but the cold moves me on. So I go to the giant's grave, a wedge tomb from the Bronze Age, a sacred place to bury their dead, with food and drink for the passage to the next world. Half an hour's walk brings me to the stone circle, again built by Bronze Age men. I wonder at its meaning for these people. A ritual site where they came to honor their gods. Aligned to the sunrise of the summer solstice, these people were the engineers and scientists of their time. I stand in awe of them. Soon the dawn will break.
Casting stones, quench my thirst, love me lonely, sunburst to leaf unto flower. Guilty confession may be yours. What of your chosen confessor? Is he without sin, stain or stumble? Flowers peep, weeds sprout full force. Concrete crevices deep, set fast. Thank you. Interwoven threads. Did voice not beauty heaven allow, if by chance far freedom engulf? Dance in shadows, humans choose. Be still, let freedom love its voice. Swaying as golden eaglet wings in prayer. Sunlight echoing in stillness, golden glare. Dust will settle, priceless, flakes to thrill. Published writers attempt to weave. Threads entwined, trap to snare. Beauty bounteous bursting through each scene. You have carved through crevices, caked in crosses. One woven worked through to instill new hope. Tapestries teased in tendons, toiled trap. Springs forth sunshine, seeping seductively. Thank you.
Again, now we give a very warm welcome to Joe Healy. Thank you very much.
With a clear connection. The first is called Steps of Lahinch. It's I was involved a few years ago with Clare Town Council. We built up the steps going down to the beach from Lahinch, and then a few years ago I came back again, and poor chap from Dublin had went in swimming and he got in trouble. So this is called Steps of Lahinch. I've danced many a set since we first poured concrete for the steps of Lahinch Beach. Space bars separated steel from shuttering. We dowelled the old to new so well, laid big rocks nearby to protect against the Atlantic swell. So many have used those steps, playing, loving, up and down to the sand, and you did too, Dublin boy. You're going for your swim, your last night to walk on the land. Now today people wait for Mother Sea to return you to the shore, just as we waited in 1994 for the tide to go out, to call in the ready-mix truck. But today it's the lifeboats and the civil defence and your family huddled together, hoping against hope. They bravely searched each day, every inch, cutting and surfing across the waves that sweep up to the steps of the hinge. This poem was a few years ago. There was a triple murder in County Galway and in Margaret, and we went out to a wooded area where a couple of the victims were found, and there was a beautiful carved cross found there. So it's called "Are You Watching?" in memory of the missing. Evergreen factory trees, no 40 shades here, no autumn colours, no red berry roans hiding small birds feeding, just Normandy groves separated by man-made ditches, lonely woods, flowers left at the locust, a carved cross of 8 awaits us. As a child, did you believe in confession? What have you confessed now? Walk out, cleansed, guilt disappeared. The excavators could click into silence. Searchers could go home for tea, phone in an obituary, plant poppies and water them with our tears.
You know, and she's here back at the stage. She's very warm and pleased to Claire Donnell.
There's no Irish, Tom would be happy to know that. One is serious and one is silly, so I'll do the serious one first. Is that alright? Is that my growth. As she spoke, I couldn't but know the circle around the flesh on her face, with the hair sticking out. As he spoke, the rash red acne on his forehead contradicted his calm exterior. As her hand moved deftly to a needle of material, the warts on her fingers never stopped her track. As he stripped off his socks, corns on his feet belied the mileage he could cover. Outward, obvious, real. As she sat in the doctor's office touching the lump on her breast or under her arm, she worried. As he sat in the surgery, embarrassed, anticipating pain, he cried to himself. Inward, vague, unreal. Growths hinder our growth. Compassion, care, awareness doesn't stunt it. This one is called Sonnet. I know what it is. 14 lines of iambic pentameter, whoever he is. I heard iambic marches from short to long. I also heard some fellow called trophy trips from long to short. I prefer to say the same size and not fall over. Shakespeare was called a sonnet master. I think I've become a sonnet mistress. What's her job? Now I've reached 13 lines. Does this, the 4 things, make this a sonnet?